Blog Talk Radio.
You're listening to author G.D. Grace's A Touch of Grace, Literary Magic, on Blog Talk Radio.
Friendship that stands the test of time is one rich in trust, tolerant in understanding, endless with encouragement, unconditional in forgiving, one where mutual boundaries are not only set, they are respected. It is where freedom is promoted, not stifled. A natural occurrence called space allowance is a part of keeping it healthy. During those necessary times apart is when growth occurs and individuality flourishes. If it's real, it will last through life's decades that pass by so swiftly. Listeners, I am your host, GD. Welcome to A Touch of Grace. Today's date is December 1st, 2013, and the time is 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So before I begin, I'd like to give a special shout of gratitude out to one-third of the three kings of A Touch of Grace, Louis Randy Rand Wilkerson, author of Coffee with God by Louis Randy Rand, for introducing me to today's powerfully talented guest. Now, he's worked with the likes of industry legends Tony on their slamming classic Feels Good. He has mixed it up with rap gurus Too Short and Spice One, and he has also whipped audiences into frenzied states, touring 10-plus years with the incomparable rapper E40. He is a master at his craft and a legend in his own right, and he joins A Touch of Grace today, allowing us inside the mastermind of a DJ. So without further ado, I welcome the beat fixer, Damon James, also known as DJ Pizo, to the show. Now, did I get that right, my brother, DJ Pizo?
It's Pizo. Pizo.
All right. That's why I asked, my brother. I wanted to be correct.
Oh, that's all right, man. I got a guy that calls me that on purpose. He knows how it's pronounced, but that's been his thing for 10 years. So
all right.
It doesn't bother me.
All right. That's very cool. Very gracious of you. So how are you doing on this first day of December?
I'm doing great, man. It's sunny out here where I'm at. It's a little chilly, but, the day just relaxing, man. I had went to a birthday party yesterday with a close friend of mine and had a good time. So I'm doing all right, man. I can't complain.
All right. Well, these next several minutes are going to be all about you. I would like the listeners to get an inside look at what goes on inside the mastermind of a DJ. So I guess there's no better place to start than the beginning. So what age did you start developing your skills as a DJ?
You know, it's kind of fun. My mother was a young bride. My father was in Vietnam. I think I was about 3 or 4 years old, and she said that she bought this. You remember those old consoles that you lift up, put records in there, it was a record player. You know, everybody, mama from our area had one, you know, and it was like just sitting there.
Yeah.
And she said that one night, she had just got it, one night she woke up in the middle of the night and she heard, she said she came downstairs and I had crawled up in there and was sitting and scratching the records. And I was like, she told me that years after I did it. But starting-wise, I'm going to say about 16 or 17. I was about 16 or 17 years old in Hayward, California, and I started, taking my aunt and uncle's Richard Pryor records and, Cutie Pies and just all the stuff that we were listening to, man. And when they were at work, I would scratch on the record player, and I wasn't supposed to be doing it, but it was a new art form, man, and I was so intrigued by it. It just captivated me. So I'm going to say 16 or 17.
Well, that's usually when most geniuses start out, is when they're in their teenage year, and it's some type of an experience like that makes the spark go on. So what attracted you to the craft of mixing music?
I had a play cousin in high school named Jordan. He used to just tell me there was a guy in New York that DJ played records in the park back in the Africa Bottom days, and his name was Shortcut. And he said they just, mix the record back, and MCs would rap over it. And I was like, they do that? He's like, yeah. So I started, reading up on it. We didn't have the luxury of the internet. I started reading up on it and seeing different little clips and stuff like that, man. And I just, I just gravitated towards it, and this was something that I wanted to do. It was different, it was new, it was cutting edge. And the power that a DJ has, a DJ to me really is a master of ceremonies. I would have people come up to me later on in life, like with 40, and the promoters would be so relieved to see me. And what he told me was, if I see Pizo here, I know 40's here. And what that meant to me is I'm doing a good job. So they know that if I'm showing up, the artist is here, because I'm just not coming out.
All right.
For an empty run.
Right. So
yeah.
Is mixing music somewhat of a spiritual experience for you when you're doing it?
Yeah, it enlightens me, man. It's a stress reliever for me still today. I just enjoy it. It puts me in a solemn state where it's just me, the turntables, the records, and, the drum machines or whatever. And I want to see what I can create out of nothing. I'm going to take this and chop this up, and then I'm going to put some drums over the top of it, and I want to see what it's going to come out like. And fortunately for me, they came out to be some really, really, classic songs now. They're classics, So it's spiritual for me. It really is. It takes me to a higher level.
That's beautiful. You're connecting to your higher power with music. I think that's great. What is one of your favorite mixes that you've ever done?
Song, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'm gonna say Feels Good. I'm gonna say Feels Good because Raphael came to me after we met, and he was like, "We got the song called Feels Good, man," and they're really gospel. It's really church with them, and it just was a good time. Just a good time. Church song is really what it was. In good timing, I mean, and they let me hear it. And I said, this song is a hit. It doesn't need anything. And he said, no, we want it to sound like it was already remixed. So I took a breakbeat, which is just a drum pattern off of a record. And I took it and I put it in there, which made the song move a little bit quicker. And then I told the engineer, now take that sample and turn it around. Make it go backwards, but play on top of the one that's going forward and match the snares. That's some DJ stuff, because the snares is what's going to keep the time. So when you hear Feels Good, when you hear that, that's the two drums hitting and sucking at the same time. So that had never really been done before. I didn't realize what I was doing, but it was cool, and it worked out. And then I had a Stop Smoking record. And if you listen hard enough on the first part of that song, you can actually hear the record popping when he says, play this record as frequently as possible. Then, as it becomes easier for you, play this record once or a day or as needed. And
wow.
I mean, when everything was put together and you hear it, 20 years earlier, it was huge. And 20 years later, it still has that same impact on the floor. So I'm going to have to say that was my favorite song, actually, that I had something to do with.
Well, it definitely was one of those that, and it did have a spiritual feel to it. It was very clean. There wasn't any curse words in it, and it was just about feeling good. And I've been a fan of music all my life, and I do know the power of music. And so I know that studio has its own experience, but what is the contrast between it and playing live in front of a live audience?
Being in the studio, and you could work on the same song for a week. And I mean 8, 12, 15 hours a day, just listening to that same song, so it gets tedious. It's work. You mentally and physically have to be conditioned to do that. And it's fun because you get to experiment with a whole bunch of different things and making a song that's going to be something, at least hit the charts, at least make somebody dance or whatever. Being on the road is energetic. You get the feel of the people after your product is done. they accept it, and they hear it. And when you see them react to something that you made, it makes you feel good. So you want to put on a good performance to hype them up even more. There's nothing like performing. There's no high on earth that's high, to me, that's bigger than performance, just because of the energy. I mean, I think the first time I did the Summer Jam was like 1989, maybe 90, and there were 20,000 people out there. And
Whoa.
when I said, are you guys ready to get down or what? And I was with Tony, and that whole crowd said, yeah, you can't imagine the energy. You know what I'm saying? I think it was Malcolm X, the movie, when he said, okay, get him out of here, disperse him. And he put his hand up and he stopped, and then he put his finger out and he pointed to the left, and they all took off going down that way, and that police officer said, no one man should have that much power. That's what it felt like. You know what I mean? That's what it felt like, and it's an amazing feeling. It's a really, really good feeling. So yeah.
God, I like how you described that moment in the Malcolm X, because I felt exactly what you were saying when you were out there at Summer Jam. The Summer Jams were very popular. I'm not sure what they're doing right now, but on that note, when you're talking about Summer Jam, because those are some really, really wild and fun times, what are your views on the state of hip-hop during this era?
In the beginning, I think I talked to you a little bit earlier, and I said we did it because we love to do it. Now it's financial. I'm not saying that every artist out there is just doing it because of the money, but a lot of them are. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, when we were younger, we didn't figure that this was going to be our career. We didn't know we were going to have to feed our kids with performance. We didn't know that. We just did it because we loved it. And then now you have a time where they're making so much money now. It's ridiculous. You know, you're getting people that's doing, you know, I remember doing shows. I remember the first check Short got. I think it was $100,000. We thought that we were in awe.
I'm in awe listening to it. I'm in awe listening to it. You see, when you said that $100,000, and I know that they're definitely making a lot more. Now, when you mentioned Too Short, it was my brother that turned me on to Too Short, my brother Vance, and he was singing this song. He says, you know, freak nasty. It said, you're fine, but you look like Lassie. Bitch. I'm like, What the hell is that? You know? Right. So what was it like working with Too Short?
Short is like you got to understand, we became men together in this business. We were kids, you know, and the first deals that he had were kind of shady or whatever. And when he started Dangerous Music with Joe the Boss, you know, like I said, we were just young men, but we already had a name for ourselves. And working with Short is funny because he's a funny guy. Short is absolutely, he could be a comedian. He's really that funny. But he at that time, I was living in Berkeley at my grandmother's house. She had left my sister and myself a house in Berkeley. And in the back room, everybody used to come by there, the Tonys, Too Short. This is before 40 even got famous. So we got all these groups from Oakland that's coming through my grandmama's back houses. And on Tascan 244, you know, I got Too Short's Benz parked in my grandmother's backyard that say Short Dog on it. You know, I got tour buses pulling up on the house I grew up at since I was a baby, really. And I'm getting on tour buses, and I'm doing, and all the kids around the neighborhood are going, dang, Damon, you blew up, you know, and it's like, okay, but for it to happen that fast, it was crazy, but working with Short was fun. You know, he's, even today, I have my youngest daughter, he's the godfather of my youngest daughter, and I think 2010, myself, 40 and Short went to Japan, and I hadn't DJed for Short in 15, maybe 20 years. I don't know. And I said, man, I'm gonna do your set tonight. So I just did a mashup of Too Short and E40, a whole set. You know, you don't get that. You know, that show was so dynamic, man. But yeah, working with Short was fun, frustrating at times, but I mean, you know, it's work. You know,
right? It is work. It is work. You know, when you talk about the audiences, and I'm glad you brought up Japan. So when I talk about a cultural difference versus the States, you know, versus Japan, what was that experience like performing for the Japanese?
You know, they can't speak no English, really. You know, it's really, really broken, but they know hip-hop. You know, they still in the Run DMC days. They got fat chains and Adidas sweatsuits, and I've seen a couple of lowriders out there. You know what I mean? So I could see the cultural shock in Japan. As it happened to us, it happened like in 10-year spurts. Like everybody was dressing like Run DMC. And then the next artist, everybody was trying to be like LL Cool J. You can actually see that at one time in Japan where you got people that are in, you know, no laces in their Adidas, man, with their Adidas sweatsuits on and derby hats and gazelle glasses. And you walk up the block, you'll see another Japanese person, Oriental person, and they'll be in a lowrider playing G-Thing. Do you know what I mean? So it's crazy. It's crazy. But you don't see them in the day. You don't see them in the daytime. You don't see them in the daytime, like if you're walking around downtown, you're shopping. You might see a few of them in the traffic, but when the club hit, that's when they bring out their cars, their motorcycles, they put on their garb. You know what I'm saying? You got break dancers. It was like hip-hop from its conception in Japan for me.
Oh, wow. That had to have been a remarkable experience. And so when you're talking about the cultural thing, the question that I have, because I remember Yo MTV Raps with Ed Lover and his and the other guy that was with him. And what do you think still to this day that the biggest misconception about hip-hop is?
That everybody believes the myth. It's like acting. You know what I mean? But some of these artists are telling you true stories, but a lot of these people are good storytellers. They can tell you a story, and like what I call it, and I gave this cliche to 40 was we do visual spit. And when I say spit, I mean rapping or rhyming or emceeing, whatever you want to call it. But we do it to where when I tell you that I'm on 34th and Hannah do a woo-woo-woo, you're going to visually see that corner in Oakland if you're from there. Mm-hmm. You're gonna get that mental picture. You don't even need a video. But that comes with you have to be a skilled artist to be able to really, really do that. You know, a lot of people these days, you know, come on, where's Rakim? Where's Rakim? For this generation. There's no Rakim for this generation. You know, when you tell me that Lil Wayne is the best rapper of all time, or Tupac is the best rapper of all time, I talked to Tupac's brother yesterday, and I love Pac. Me and Pac go way back, but they are very, very good rappers, but I don't believe they're the best of all times. I mean, tell me about it. Tell me about a Rakim. What about a KRS-One? Tell us about somebody that's going to give you something that you can utilize later on in life, other than I got gold teeth, a whole bunch of money, it's 28s on my car, and I'm at the club doing it like this. Okay, I understand that. You know what I mean? I do understand that, and that's your lifestyle. I do get that, and there's a place for it. But I just wish it would, some of these underground artists would get a little bit more exposure. You know, I can only listen to Lil Wayne 30 times in a day. Come on, man.
You know what, in all honesty, I'm not really into Lil Wayne, never have been. Did like Tupac a lot, like the Notorious B.I.G., like the flow, but the message is powerful. And being that music is so powerful to where it transcends cultures, I think that there is a responsibility at some point in time for the artist to really put something out there, to put something on people's mind. Now, you've worked with some really big names in hip-hop. Is there anyone in the business that you haven't collaborated with yet that you want to?
You know who I would really like to work with, man, because I think it would be a good thing, is Nipsey Hussle and Wiz Khalifa. For some reason, and I Am Sue. I Am Sue is out of the Bay. I think these three artists, Wiz Khalifa is huge. I Am Sue is getting there, but he's so talented lyrically, and I've never met him. I just hear the things that he says, and I'm like, this guy has a lot more potential than what he's just doing. But what he's doing is at such a high level, it's ridiculous. You know, I'm in Richie Rich. I'm still the biggest Richie Rich fan there is. I've always been a Richie Rich fan because Rich, when rap hit early, Rich mastered it. Mm-hmm. He mastered the lyrics.
And that's a good question. What makes a master?
Timing, delivery. If you listen to Rakim raps like he's a saxophone in a jazz song. And what I'm saying is, if you listen to a jazz song, a saxophone can fall on anywhere. Mm-hmm. And if they're good, it's going to sound good. So the way he weaves around the drums and the snares and the hi-hats, that makes you an excellent rapper, an excellent MC in your delivery. You know, it's kind of like a punchline. You can't tell it a second early because you'll miss him. If you're half a second too late, you're going to miss him. But if you hit that nail right on the head every time, it's good. Pac's delivery was uncanny.
Oh, yeah.
Lil Wayne's delivery is uncanny, but that's in his style. His style is ridiculous. Because he's like, I'm not going with what you guys are going with. And he raps like a saxophone in a jazz song.
All right. I'm a big lover of jazz as well. And I love hearing you. As a matter of fact, I love artistry, period. I've just been a big fan. And though I've not really gone to a concert, I think I saw Cypress Hill one time with Erykah Badu. But for you as a performer, because the DJ is a performer too, has there been that one performance for you that you consider to be the ultimate performance you've ever done?
You know what? I couldn't tell you because, you know what? I can. I will tell you this. My son had called me one day and said, Daddy, I want to get on the radio. Okay. I'm DJ Pizo, so I have connections. So I got my son a job at a radio station in Bakersfield. And he went right to the radio. He had a good radio personality, good radio voice. He's a handsome young man. And it just so happened we had a show with Ice Cube in Bakersfield, and his radio station was putting it on. So we closed the show. Cube goes off. Me and 40 closed the show, and it's like 10,000 people there. And the radio host said, we want to welcome a new guy to our roster. His name's Pierre James. And I'm still on stage, and I'm like this, I'm bubbling over right now, right? So I'm putting the equipment away and stuff. And he said, Pizo, can you come down here? So I came down to the front. He said, by the way, this is Pierre's father. And I mean, almost everybody in that arena stood up and clapped. And I'm looking at my son, who I watched come onto this earth, standing next to me. Was the proudest moment I've really ever experienced in the music business. And I teared up. And the thing about it is, the next day he called me on the radio show, and he kind of put that out there. He's like, yeah, and I see you tearing up out there. But you have to understand the magnitude of that. I mean, my grandfather started doing music, and I started in the 4th grade with him playing the saxophone. And for me to stand up there with my son, 2nd and 3rd generation, it was the best moment. No money, nothing could ever amount to that.
Well, I tell you one thing, Lewis was very right about you. You are very the misconception for me is that there's no love or warmth when you're talking about people in hip-hop, and I know that was a lie a long time ago. And as I look at the time, and I just want to say congratulations to your son, and I can't wait to see what he brings to the world on a global level. So as we look at the time, and the time's counting out, I always like to do this for the person that might be inspired, that will be inspired just by listening. What are some encouraging words that you'd like to leave a listener out there with today who is looking to get into the business?
I'm going to tell you what E40 always told me. Stay hungry, stay humble, stay prayed up, stay money motivated, and keep your blinders on, because everybody that's standing to the right or the left of you is going to tear you down. Marcus Garvey said, if you do not believe in yourself, you are twice defeated. So keep that with you.
Yeah, I love that. And God dang, you're just a remarkable human being, Damon. On the final note, I would like to say, ladies and gentlemen, we just got through interviewing the talented DJ Pizo, and I know that I probably said that wrong again, so please forgive me. Well, it's all right. Pizo. Okay, DJ Pizo. He's a remarkable talent out of the Bay Area and most certainly known globally. He's worked with some great names in the industry, such as the Tonys of the Bay Area, Tony, Too Short, Spice One, and E40. And if you haven't gotten out and popped any of the music that he produces out there and mixes up, definitely do that to support the efforts of hip-hop to keep it alive as the torch is passed from one generation to the next. So 27,000 viewers or listeners of the platform can't be wrong. I want to thank DJ Pizo for being on the show. And DJ, is there any final thoughts you'd like to leave the listeners?
Yeah, man. Basically, if you dream it, you can do it.
All right.
God gives you that power. Dreams don't just come. God puts that in your head, and if He put it in your head, you can do it. So do it. Be like Nike. Just do it.
All right. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you, and most definitely everybody. If you don't know the power of music, it was explained here, and that just was only the tip of the iceberg. So happy holidays to everyone. Thanks for supporting the show. And DJ Pizo, thanks a lot for stopping by. You have a great afternoon.
All right. You too.
All right, my brother.
Bye-bye.
All right, listeners, that's it. The bow is on the show. Y'all have a great holiday, and take care.
It's important to properly dispose of unwanted medication or sharps. MedProject offers free and convenient disposal options near you. To learn more, call 844-MED-PROJECT or visit medproject.org.
What are your kids doing this summer? The AZZS College Academy has non-credit classes for grades 6 through 12 in art, math, science, coding, and more. Online classes start June 17th. Supervised classes on campus start July 1st. The AZZS College Academy is a great way for kids to have fun and get a head start on the school year. Register now at theanza.edu/academy.